Hey, what's up guys? It's Matt with the Movement System. Today I'm here with Draymond Jones, defensive end for Denver. Go ahead and follow him on Instagram. So today we're going to be going through an NFL training workout. We're just going to start with a warm-up. We'll go into some plyometrics, some agility work, and we'll take you guys through step by step and follow along. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with some lateral lunges. So just kind of working down the field, working inner thighs here. I really like to get inner thighs warmed up and stretched out a little bit because that's going to help us with length on the bottom and then strength on the top. So usually when we're thinking about activation, we're going to be doing core work, and then when we're thinking about like stretching in the warm up, we want to get a little bit more out of that adductor. So when we get into that agility and that change of direction work, we can really get low and then power out of a lower position. All right guys, so for the structure of today's workout, we're basically just going to go through some warm-up exercises, some plyometrics. Dre's off season right now, so we're not going to be going too high intensity with these plyometrics. Really the focus of the off-season training is going to be on strength and hypertrophy work and really building that muscular base. When we get towards the preseason, when we're into training camp, that's when we're going to add a little bit heavier agility drills, change of direction, plyometrics, and that kind of stuff. But for today, we'll just got to give you guys an intro, show you some of those drills, but not really go too fast with them, too intense with them. All right, so when we're thinking about training, we want to think about in-season training really being focused more on the power and the plyometrics and anything that's going to be developing that neurophysiological adaptation, meaning the stretch shortening cycle and other adaptations that are more transient that aren't going to last long. Off season, we're going to be more focused on things like strength and hypertrophy. Strength and hypertrophy adaptations can last longer into the season, and we could build power onto that in the next block. We're going to introduce a little bit of lower load plyometrics, work on positioning and technique, and then when we move into the in-season, that's when we're going to get more explosive, decrease ground contact time, make these more rapid. All right, we're going to do one ground base. We're going to work onto a hip controlled articular rotation. So I'll show you guys this one first. We're going to be here on that hands and knees quadruped position, and then just like you're working the leg over a cone on the side of you, we're going to work the knee up, out, around, full hip extension in the back, and then down. And then we're going to focus on keeping the back flat with this one. And we're just going to get 5 reps or so each side on this one. Get that hip through full range of motion. You can see almost as if there's a cone here, you're really driving that leg up, and then all the way through extending heel towards the ceiling, towards the sky there at the top. Again, some things that we're coaching here is really keeping that core on in the front and then keeping that back as flat as you can and really getting the full range of motion like you're hopping that hip right there up over a cone or something like that. All right, we're going to get dynamic here, go into some A skips here. Jay's going to show you how that's going to look for us. So we're focused on quick knee drive here. You can see he's working the arm action in with it. So part of this warm-up is mobility, length, strength, but then we're also thinking about getting that nervous system woken up, central nervous system activation, some of these quicker drills. And we're going to get more into that when we get into the plyos. All right, so a lot of times you'll see these done with a speed ladder. Someone will lay it out on the ground, and then we'll give some type of footwork drill. Again, this is just to start moving quickly, get that dynamic component to the warm-up. Dre's going to show you a couple variations of that now. All right, we're gonna work a lateral push to base. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive off that side foot here, push, and then find an athletic position. We're not gonna go counter movement where we're doing like a hop or anything yet. We're really gonna focus on getting position. We can coach through that, and then we'll get into more of a counter movement jump in a little bit. So we're thinking about quick rate of force development there, off that foot, and then find that athletic position. All right guys, so we're gonna add a little bit of resistance to that lateral movement now. We're gonna have them go 2 shuffles to the left, 1 shuffle back to the right, and then stick. And I'm gonna be pulling on this band. Set, go. Good. So what we're working on here, guys, as he's pushing off, we're giving a little bit more resistance so he can actually push off with power. And then on that stick on the right, we're then absorbing force and focusing on more on that eccentric component of the muscle on that way back. Set, go. All right guys, so we're gonna go into a bit of a movement prep exercise. This is good for single leg stability. So we're gonna have Dre do here is take 1 foot stance, take 2 hands on the ball, and he's really gonna hinge at the hips, get a little bit of a knee bend, stable through the foot, and then reach that ball, the tip of the ball towards each cone here. Good, so you can see he's reaching that back leg back, getting a stretch through that front hamstring here, and really reaching across the body, seeing if he can combine some thoracic rotation here with lower body stability. One thing you might notice is they're rolling to the ankle one side or the other. So you can see Dre, he's pretty stable through that foot here, but he tends to roll towards the outside of that ankle a little bit. We might want to just coach him to, you know, really push that big toe down into the ground, and then maybe get a little bit more bend in the knee as he's hinging to start. There we go. All right, we're gonna work on a little bit of the hip activation side of the hips here, glute med. We're just gonna sink into a little bit of an athletic position here and then focus on stepping wide, keeping the knees wide on this one. So we're just gonna work 10 yards. You know, you see he's taking a pretty low stance. That's an athletic position for him, and we're good with that as long as we're keeping good knee alignment. So don't reach with the foot, really drive that knee. There you go. All right, guys, so next we're gonna move into plyometrics. We're gonna start without a counter movement. So what we're gonna do is focus on just a forward back hop, sticking each time. We're gonna get 3 here, and if we like the position that we're getting into, then we're gonna go ahead and add that counter movement and start to work more into that stretch shortening cycle. But for now, let's go ahead and just line it up. We're gonna go 1 yard forward, stick, 1 yard back, stick, and finding that athletic position each time. So we'll just get 3 or so of these, stick for about a second or 2, and then hopping back. Good. Now we're gonna move into a little bit of a counter movement. That first one's gonna be a counter movement. This is really gonna get that eccentric control of the quads. What we're gonna focus on here is just a nice, quick eccentric and then exploding back off concentric. So we're gonna stick back on this first line, but it's gonna be a counter movement at that front line. So it'll be here, back, stick, here, back and stick. All right. Good, sticking each time. And now if we see that looks pretty clean, we're gonna go ahead and start into some lateral movement. So what we're gonna do here is same drill. This time we're just gonna start again without that counter movement. Lateral hop, stick, lateral hop, stick. Let's get 3 of those. If those look pretty clean, then we'll go and add that counter movement into it. So again, guys, benefit of using that isometric and sticking each time is to really nail down that positioning, make sure we're coaching that the way we want it to look, and if that looks good, then we move and add that counter movement. We don't just jump to the hardest exercise first. All right, so now if that looks good, we're gonna go ahead and add the counter movement. It's gonna be a quick jump back. So we're gonna jump, quick jump back, and then we're still gonna stick on that original line. Good. Some things we're seeing here, he's staying pretty low. If we want him to get a little bit higher for that, we could stick a cone under there, get some height to that, and make sure he's really coming down and absorbing that force. Again, when we add that counter movement, we're thinking about quick rate of force development, starting to work the stretch shortening cycle and that elasticity of the muscle. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try 1 single leg. You know, Dre's off season right now, so we're just gonna show you a couple reps of these without you know, going too hard into it. But we're just gonna go single leg hop here and stick, single leg hop and stick. So it's just gonna be starting with about 1 yard, maybe we could push about 1.5 yards, but just sticking that landing. Again, no counter movement on this one. Good. And a benefit of if we elongate that isometric, that stick part of this, is that we're gonna start to work that balance and stability of the hip. We're gonna get that going a little bit more. Again, we can add a counter movement. I'm not focused on it right now, he's off season. If we start to push into preseason, in season, that's when we're really gonna get these quick. We might go on a whistle, we might add some agility component and some mental component, maybe even taking off into a sprint from a drill like this. So the T test is gonna be a test of agility. It's really a change of direction test in the sense that it's a planned course. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start here with the red cone 10 yards away, and these cones basically make a T right here. So we're gonna sprint up to the first cone. It's gonna be a side shuffle to the left. Feet can't cross on this drill. So if you see feet crossing, guys, we're gonna have to redo that one. 10 yards forward, we're gonna touch the cone with the hand. 5 yard shuffle to the left, we're gonna touch that cone with the hand. 10 yard shuffle to the right, touch that one with the hand. 5 yards back to the top of the T there, and then we're gonna back pedal all the way back through. Go! Time. All right, guys, so we're gonna talk about how we can take the T test and make it a little bit more of an agility-based test. Really, whenever we're thinking about a planned, structured test where we always know we're going left, that's gonna be more of a change of direction drill. If we're gonna make this agility specific, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Dre come back here at the start line. I'm gonna stand here at back of this cone, so I'm gonna wait till he's about 1 yard or 2 away from this cone, and then I'll cue him right or left. Go! Left. And he's gonna go ahead and finish the drill. So I cued him to my left, but I gave him a directional point with my hand. You can go whatever you want. If you want, you can see these are yellow and red cones on the two sides. I could call yellow, I could call red. But anyway, giving that verbal cue or even tossing a ball or something like that and giving that response where the athlete has to respond to it, that's gonna make this a little bit more based on the neuro component of performance and make it more agility than just change of direction. All right guys, so we're gonna be talking about the 5-10-5. A lot of times you'll hear this called the pro agility test. This is one of the big tests in the NFL Combine. So what we're gonna do for this one is we're basically gonna straddle in a 3-point position, the center mark, and we're gonna wait for a call. We're gonna go left all the way to touch the line here. So we're gonna be left, touch the line. And for this one, we're not shuffling, we're actually gonna turn and sprint. So it's gonna be 5 to the left, 10 to get to that line, and then 5 yards through, and that's when the clock will go. So Dre's gonna show you here, guys, what this looks like. Set, go. Time. All right, so when we're thinking about testing, we just showed you the T-test and the pro agility test. Those are both tests that are good for football because they use the sport movements that a football player is going to use. We're a lot of times going to do that testing at the early preseason or in the off season, and then retest at the end of preseason as we work into in season to see if we made improvements in that change of direction ability. When we're actually thinking about programming drills, they're going to look a little bit like tests, but a lot of times we're going to use variations of the test as agility drills for training to actually make improvements to the test. So other tests you might see are the long jump and the 40-yard dash. Those are for speed, and then for power, specifically horizontal power. Those we're going to have in a different video, but you can check those out as well. One other thing we want to think about is strength training. A lot of times off season, we're actually more frequent with strength training than we are with agility and speed training. We might be doing agility and speed training maybe 2-3 times a week, but we might be in the weight room 4 or 5 times a week. So things like max effort days, dynamic effort days, where we're really pushing for max force production as well as getting that volume in with some dynamic effort and some higher rep schemes. Those are all things that we're gonna see in the weight room and obviously not on the turf out here. All right guys, so I hope that helped you see how I structure an NFL speed and agility training day. If it did, go ahead and hit the like button. If you wanna see more videos like this, as well as other videos about strength conditioning and movement science, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. If you wanna learn more about strength conditioning specifically, go ahead and join the Strength and Conditioning Study Group on Facebook. There's a link in the description below. All right guys, we'll see you in the next one.